Hi there, it's Louise with you of Timeless Craft Mama, and I'd like to share an introductory video with you about me. Some of you have maybe watched some of my videos in the past, so you've heard me talk and you've seen me create, but I've never actually done an introductory video as such. So I wanted to do that for you as part of my 12 days of December. And in my 12 days of December YouTube project, I'm going to actually give you a look into some of my creative world. So not only will you get to see an introduction of me, but I'm going to give you a craft tour. I'm going to talk about some of my storage and my supplies. I'm also going to take you through some December daily walkthroughs, last year's, and we're going to do this year as well. We're going to do some foundation pages, have a look at an unboxing from Scrapbook Boutique, and lots of other really fun projects that I've got planned for you for this 12 Days of Christmas YouTube project. So I wanted to start with 5 questions about my scrapbooking, so let's get into those. Okay, so let's talk. First question is, who is my creative inspiration? And I want to just give you a little bit of background about why I started scrapping. So about 15 years ago, my mum was a creative memories consultant. Like a lot of women out there, creative memories was the first way to scrapbook your memories. And as she was a consultant, I took some of that on board and did some pages here and there as a teenager. I had a big break and I came back into the scrapbooking world a couple of years after my boys were born. So in about 2014, I really got back into it quite seriously, started blogging, joining online challenges, and of course my first DT role. So my creative inspirations are people like Missy Whiddon. I really love her work. Debbie Tarani is a great artist. I really like the pages she puts together. And Australia-wise, I love Belinda Spencer's work. So she's definitely one of my favourite Australian scrapbook artists. Now, I want to talk you through some of my favourite products. So the things that I use most on my page would probably be mediums. So it could be acrylic paint, could be watercolour. You'll notice with a lot of my pages that I tend to use my distress crayons. I really love my distress crayons. They are one of my top products and they pretty much feature some way in any layout that I do. As well as that, I'm pretty much addicted to paper, so I really like to include some kind of paper element, whether it be clustering, paper in the background, you know. Primarily I'd say I probably use 6x6 paper pads. I have used 12x12s here and there, but mostly my stash is pretty much 6x6 paper pads. Now, why do I scrapbook? So realistically, I think the main reason is for creative enjoyment, really. I like the feel that I get when I scrapbook. Creating the memories is a huge reason as well, because it gives us something to look at. We can record those memories and have something to view later on down the track, but certainly the artistic aspect is a big part for me. Now, when I first did join the online world, I watched a lot of YouTube videos. So I was picking up techniques, looking at new products, seeing the way, especially with the mixed media type of pages, how people were doing those mixed media. And I wanted to be able to create YouTube videos so that people could watch along and hopefully pick something up from me. Maybe they don't, maybe they do. It doesn't matter to me. All I want to do is be able to share what I do with people and inspire them to scrapbook. So that's the reason why I'm part of this online world. Now, I want to talk about what my ultimate goal scrapbook-wise is. I would love to be on a manufacturer's design team. So that's my ultimate goal. Kaisercraft, Simple Stories, Echo Park, Heidi Swap, all those big name brands. It would be absolutely awesome to be able to call yourself a designer for some of those big name scrapbook companies. And of course there's the ones that we have in Australia, like Colour Blast, Cocoa Vanilla. You know, there are so many wonderful creatives out there. I would love to be part of their teams. Finally, I want to share with you something that you may not know about me. So this is just a little tidbit of information, little fun factoid here. I'm an avid reader, so it's nothing for me to go through 2 or 3 books a week. So I tend to be, if not crafting, reading, and I also dabble a little bit in writing my own novels. So I've got about 4 or 5 on the go, and whenever the mood strikes me, whenever I feel like just giving myself to something and it's not crafting, whenever I need a bit of a break from craft, you'll see me at the computer tapping away and I'm writing a novel. So that's a little tidbit of information that you may not know about me. Well, I hope you enjoyed that look into my life and my craft, and I'm going to give you a tour of my craft room, and then we'll come back and say goodbye. Okay, I'm going to show you through my craft space now, and please excuse my videoing. I am of course using the handheld video camera, which does make it a little bit interesting. I'll try to keep the shaking to a minimum. Now what I'm showing you here is outside of my craft space. I have this sort of hutch that I purchased specifically for the use of storing my albums. And you can see that the albums don't quite fit on there properly, but I had such a small space to work with in the hallway to be able to close the doors that I really had to be careful with the depth of the cabinet that I was going to use for that album storage. So, looking into my craft room from the door, this is at the front of my house, and I've got this little A-frame here that's just used for general storage. You can see I've got 2 chairs and a lovely little stash of colouring books and painting and pens, and where my little helpers sit when I'm creating in my craft space. So most of the elements you see here, actually pretty much all of the storage elements in this room, are IKEA. I tend to be a little bit of an IKEA addict. So if I'm redoing my craft room, all my desks and my storage supplies all come from IKEA. Now you'll also see I've shown you some of that height in there as well. So we've got my TV, which I tend to sort of just have on in the background, and my decorative wall sticker in there as well. Now that blank board that you're seeing, that is what I use to photograph my layouts. So that gives me my white background, and it's a really technical tool on there of blue tack to hold those layouts there. So you've also got a pile of album pages waiting to be popped into albums, and what I call my scrapbook page graveyard, which is the half finished pages, and some extra, stuff that I've started and just haven't got around to finishing. Now, most of the stuff in the drawers I haven't shown you because it relates to hubby's business, so it's just general storage, not too much. But the top drawer that I did open for you contained 12 by 12 paper collections and my stencils and papers. So I did give you a quick look at my Raskog there. You'll see some still photos of that later on as well. This inbuilt cupboard in the wall, again, comes from IKEA, and it houses all my little stuff. So you saw on the top there was flowers, stickers and embellishments. Second drawer, you've got all your embossing, ribbons, twines, semi-organised. It's kind of the stuff that you use, but you don't need it on a day-to-day basis. Washi tapes, I've got some Delish Scraps kits there, and then the bottom drawer is just like layers of paper and glues and old books from the second-hand store that I tear up and put on pages, things like that. So the Raskog trolley just sits in there nicely, and at the moment it's got my December daily items on it, waiting to do December daily. I also got this little storage element here, which is where I keep my watercolour pencils, my watercolour paints. I've got some sketches, some of the most recent Scrapbooking Memories magazines in there as well. The top shelf up here, I've got a basket full of my American Crafts thickers. So I really can't come up with a way to store thickers. I've changed, I've gone through them. I've tried so many different storage options, and this is the best I can come up with for the moment. My scrap space is it's like a developing space, so it never really has one particular area where things live. As I change my scrapping style, things will get moved around, things will be pulled out, elements that I want to work with straight away, they're always close at hand. So in here you're looking at my stash of 6x6 paper pads
and there's also some 12 by 12s and my white and black 12 by 12 cardstock that I use as a base. So this little drawer section comes back to a lot of my mixed media elements. You've got your gelatos, colour blasts, sprays and mist, paints, all of the elements that you need for painting. Then we've got a drawer full of mink stuff and some extras, some Project Life. That's the junk drawer, so we won't look too closely at that. Down by the side here I've got stamps and some chipboard. Then I've got what I call a textural box, so it's just pretty much filled with like laces and ribbons and cottons and all kinds of fun things. Now I've got a lot of storage under the desk. Again, it's not the most used items. And then what you're looking at here is my main scrapping area. So underneath the desk, I've got empty boxes, I've got magazines, I've got my bags that I take to crops when I go away. Sewing machine lives under the desk, I don't keep it on the desk. This little cube unit is really quite handy. You can see it's got gesso, it's got paste, it's got stamp pads. Next to that, all my main tools. So we've got pens and circle cutters, paintbrushes, little desktop rubbish bin. And then we move into sort of the central part of that desk where it's mainly the computer and stuff that I sort of keep separate so that if we're doing business work, we can do business work. That was a very quick tour. I feel like I spoke really fast, so I do apologise, but I hope you enjoyed.
Okay, so craft room tour is done. You got to see inside my space, and I really must say I'm very grateful to the people in my life, especially my very considerate husband, who happens to be fine with the fact that I disappear for hours at a time, and it's because I'm away squirreling a page. So thank you, and I'm very blessed to be able to have the space that I have the equipment that I have, the tools that I have, and to certainly be able to create as part of this online world. So it's been really great to introduce myself to you. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so to my YouTube channel, and of course don't forget to come back and check out my 12 Days of Christmas projects.